Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. As you're joining, just click on the share button. It's really going to be wonderful today. I can't wait to see all of you coming in wherever you are around the world. Just come in, click on the share button, would you? It's really going to be wonderful. Yes, this is like just with Mama Helen. It's going to be wow. It's going to be wonderful. So I'm looking for all of you wherever you are right now. Just begin to join in. Just begin to join in. Woo! It's going to be wonderful. Considering the topics we're going to be looking at today, the very topic, woo! It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So, where are you? Click on the my lip. Oh, good, I can see you. Awesome, my daughter. Awesome, awesome. I'm so excited. See you already. Awesome, 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 awesome. Just click on the share button. Click on the share button. It's going to be wonderful. Click on the share button. Yes. 10 things you need to know, about rejection. That's what we're looking at today. The 10 things that you need to know about rejection and how you need to overcome it by the special grace of God. That's what we're looking at today because a lot of people have really been affected, by this topic, and that's the reason why we're looking at it today. 10 things you need to know about rejection. Okay, 10 things we need to know about. You need to know about rejection. Just get in with you. Let's dig it in. Let's dig in. Let's dig in today. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be powerful. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm super excited about how today is really going to be. So let's do the needful. Let's get everyone in. Let's get everybody in. Let's get everybody in. Okay. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Um, so I'm trying to connect with all the stations. Just bear with me in a little while. I'm going to be starting in a moment. It's really going to be wow. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome today. I'm telling you. Really going to be awesome. Ooh, okay. What was I trying to do? Let's do it, people. Let's do it today. Let's do it. As you're joining in, I'm welcoming you to Like Gist with Mama this evening. Just jump in. I invite everyone. Let everyone be part of today. It's really going to be awesome. I'm telling you, it's really, really going to be exciting today to the glory of God. Okay? It will be. It will be. It will be. You'll be so excited to be part of today's meeting. You will be. You will be. You will be. You will be. Okay? Okay. You will be. So have you started? Have you clicked on the share button? Are you already bringing in people? Oh my God. Well, I'm beginning to see a lot of people joining in already. This is really exciting. I'm happy about this. Thank you very much for bringing in as many people possible. Okay. Now, what is today's topic? We're looking at the 10 things that we need to know about rejection. 10 things that we need to know about rejection and how to overcome it. Many people are going through this particular topic of today. We go through rejection, whether through relationships, maybe in business, as a politician, rejections everywhere. But one thing stands sure, that you are rejected does not mean that the life is over. Rejection hurts, but it's impossible to avoid it altogether. In fact, you don't want to. People who become too afraid of rejection might hold back from going after something they want. Okay? Sure, they avoid rejection, but they're also 100% guaranteed to miss out on what they want to become in life. Because if you are so plagued with rejection, the tendency is there for you to ever be afraid of venturing on anything, because you're afraid that by trying to get into whatever it is, you might be rejected. People also suffer rejection because they are trying to follow their path, and because of being misunderstood, they can also be rejected as well. See, these are some of the things that are important that we need to look at. And on today's online, um, on today's strategic powerful meeting with me, which is like just with me today. It's really going to be, it is an online, definitely. It's going to be wonderful for us to enjoy. We're going to be defining, we're looking at what rejection is all about. What is rejection? What are the things to look out for? What are some instances of rejection? What are the root causes of rejection? What does rejection do to a person? Can rejection lead to a psychological or health issues? Are there benefits to rejection, and so on? So all those questions shall be answered in a little while. However, I would love to start like this. Mind you, this is a call-in program. It's a call-in program. I would really love, if you can call in today. In fact, I think I need to leave my number on the screen right away. And a young lady, a powerful voice, Catherine Udonot Faith, is also going to be coming in a little while to join us. And I can't wait to listen to her ministered in song as well. So, hey, welcome to the strategic, life just with me today. And it's really going to be powerful. Things you need to know about rejection and how to overcome it. That's what we're looking at. Let me just quickly drop in the number that you can always call in today, because it's very important. I want to hear your voice today on this program, okay? It's extremely important that you do so. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you today. Okay. But whilst you're doing that, please don't hesitate. If there are questions that you might have, that you would want us to look into today, also do some questions have actually come in as well during the course of this preparation. And as time goes on, I will be looking into that if times permit. Okay. 915. So for calling. WhatsApp only, okay? The number that I'm going to be dropping here is just for WhatsApp only calling, for calling. And it's evidently going to be powerful. As I Helen said to you, it's really going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So in looking at rejection, the word rejection, we have things that people are rejected about. In fact, there was a particular woman almost 2 years ago. She had I think she was to have a child in the US. So she traveled out to do that. By the time she came back from the journey, guess what happened to this lady? Okay, the driver who came to pick her up told that he wasn't going to be taking her to the house, and he was not going to take her to somewhere else in town, a B&B apartment. By the time they got there, I mean, she was wondering, why couldn't I go to my husband's house? She did everything possible to try and get her husband. At the end of the day, she decided to go to the house, and she was practically turned away from entering a home that she had called her home for years. To cut the long story short, She went back to her own apartment. Few days later, she killed herself. Why? Because of rejection. So a lot of things is led to people actually taking their lives, due to this situation. Okay, so let's look at the word. What is rejection? Rejection is dismissing or refusing of a proposal, an idea, being rejected by a person or refuser. And it is also the action of spawning a person's affections. It is an action of spawning a person's affections as well. Now, the number one thing that I would like us to look at in the word rejection is number one, denial. When you go through rejection, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's in marriage, or someone you're dating, someone who had given you hope to possibly end up with you as husband and wife, or perhaps at the place of work. You've been promised that you're likely going to be getting a particular job, and then by the time time comes, you're rejected. You're rejected from promotion, or maybe there's a contract and you can also get rejected as well. Or perhaps you have a project out there and you got rejected after presenting it. Okay. So the number one thing that you go through when you feel rejected over one thing or the other that I've mentioned, and many more things as well, is that your first reaction is denial. This can be true. It can be happening. How can anyone even consider, rejecting this project? How can my husband or my wife suddenly reject me? How could this happen? So you start making excuses because you're in denial. You can't believe that this is actually happening to you. People go through this, believe you me, family. People go through this. All right. And then, of course, the number two things that happen as well is anger. And this actually happens when you now realize, it now dawn on you that truly you have been rejected. You have been rejected by someone you love, someone you care about, and so on. You have been rejected. So so what sets in then is anger. You feel angered, by that person's rejection. Haven't overcome denial. And once you realize that your rejection isn't a misunderstanding, you move to feeling very angry about what has just happened. Once you realize the person spawning you isn't recognizing the error as well, even becomes worse. Most times when people get rejected, there's no closure. No one seems to tell you the reason why you are rejected, the reason why someone decides to reject you, or the reason why a product is rejected and all that. So the person is kept in limbo. You are in absolute limbo, and that makes it worse. Okay, we're looking at the 10 things you need to know about rejection and how to overcome it. I've mentioned number one, which is denial. The first response is denial. And then the second stage is hunger. Okay. Number three, bargaining. So when you get to a place of, okay, you mean this is actually really happened to me, okay, and all that, you now get to a place of trying your best to see how you can woo that person back. You start doing everything possible to try to win that person back. Maybe if I increase my performance at the place of work, I might be accepted. Maybe if I do more for my partner, maybe my partner would not see the reason to keep me. So that sets in, and that stage is called bargaining time. That's a bargaining period. At this instance, you are doing your very best, to try and change the mind of the person, the people, or what have you, that might have rejected you. Okay. And this particular time is very, very, it can be very, very nasty, family. It can be very, very, very disturbing, because here you are trying your best to have someone accept you, as it were. And that could also lead to pressure. That actually even leads to pressure. It leads to many things, and one of these is actually pressure. At this particular stage of bargaining, I mean, you can walk day in, day out with the hope. You talk to people, you try to talk to people about what is going on, and if possible, maybe if they can come in to help, and so on and so forth. But I would always say this to people: this particular time is not the best for anyone, because the more you try, to deep in yourself into that relationship or what have you, it makes it even worse, because that person will see your desperation and will now even continue to treat you badly. I will never forget. Now, let me cite a scenario to you. Okay, um, the present Prince of Wales in the UK's wife, they actually met whilst they were in school. And at that instant, okay, things were going on fine. The relationship was blossoming. The press people were aware of it, and so on and so forth. Then suddenly, everything took another turn, and so they broke up. As at the time when they broke up, you know, he was expecting the now wife, Catherine, okay, to be feeling bad and sorry and so on and so forth. But Catherine just went about living her life. But it would shock you to know that later on, Prince William had to go after Catherine, because Catherine could be bothered. But most times, people don't see sense in that. They're gloomy, they're sad, they're doing everything possible to win back whom they thought they have lost. And in the process of doing that, you become very vulnerable, and it is never the best for anyone. Okay? So, if every attempt possible gets rejected, the next thing that sets in is depression. That's the next thing that sets in. Depression sets in, and cumulatively, it can lead to, because when you're not depressed, you're mentally challenged, health related, it becomes a serious problem for anyone. Rejection comes with a tangible note of emotion. I mean, a lot of it actually. It's up of feeling angry and disappointed. You're sad. You feel embarrassed. You feel confused. You feel hurt. You feel let down. You feel betrayed. Many things also, happen as a result of this. All right. So as you go through these various emotions, I'm trying to give you a little bit of a background, and then later on you can jump in. As you go through this series of emotions, the number one thing you remember, I said it, denial, and then it goes to anger, and then bargaining. This is the time that you're trying to get to win the person's back, okay? And then the next thing is depression. Um, when you are at this particular stage, it's not the best for anyone. It's not the best for anyone. Uh, like I shared with you about a young lady who went to the US, I believe, to have a child. And by the time she came back, oh, I didn't finish telling the story. She later found out, okay, that there was another woman in the house. That was the reason why the man, turned her away, and that led to her committing suicide. So the question here is, what will make you to commit suicide? That you are rejected, is that the end of the world? A question? No, it isn't. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Just because someone rejected you does not mean your life is over with. In fact, if there's anything at all, you have just started. Your life has just started. It is the way you respond to what has been thrown at you that can invariably shape your life, whether positively or negatively. Okay? Either positively or negatively. So you must be extremely, how am I going to put it? You have to face your fear. You have to face whatever is going on. You have to face whatever is going on. And this is the next stage to it. When you now decide to face it, and that leads to acceptance. The acceptance there is, okay, fine. So it has happened. So it has happened. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Just because someone rejected you or a product is, do you know how many products that comes to the market and were once rejected? In fact, there was this lady who wrote uh, you see, Harry Potter, that our initial books were rejected in the market. In fact, some companies didn't even accept it. But look at it. She never gave up. She went about doing others. And today, the rest is history. She's a multi-billionaire as we speak. So the acceptance there is to say, okay, fine, this has happened. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it. This has happened, and for you to face, the reality of it. Okay, someone once, send 1 or 2 or 3 questions to me. Listen, like I earlier on said to you, it's a call-in program, and I would appreciate it if you call it. Someone sent me about 2, 3 questions. It says, if you get rejected, how do you go about it? And I said, okay, the first thing to do is to acknowledge the fact that, okay, fine, face it. This is rejection you're going through, and it's not always your fault, because this is where the problem is. When people go through rejection, there is the possibility for them to start thinking that, oh, okay, maybe I did this, that must have been the reason. No. In fact, most times we necessarily don't have to do anything to get rejected. Sometimes it is even because of your availability. Maybe you are too available for everything. That's what sometimes leads to rejection. Okay? Or maybe the person now says, listen, for example, rejection in marriage does not necessarily mean that the woman has been this or that. Most times it is because the man has difficulty controlling himself, has no principle, and decides to look out. And if he falls into a wrong hand, the girl now, because any woman outside wants to come in, that is just this. That's just the saddest part of things. Any woman that a man is dating will want to eventually come into the house. So, and some of these girls, they can stop at nothing. Some of them can go into all manner of things just to be able to get the man that they want. And who, if by any means a man meets with such women, that can become a serious problem. Okay, so acknowledge the fact that, okay, fine, this is rejection. Don't shy away from it. Don't pretend from it. It has happened. It has happened. Deal with it. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Deal with it. Deal with it. Then another question is, if you start blaming yourself for the rejection, what then happens? How do you come out of it? The tendency for you, now let me put it this way, the tendency for you to begin to think that, okay, let me look at it. If you start blaming yourself, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. Someone's mistakes must not be your nightmare. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Someone's mistake must never be your nightmare. I'm going to repeat myself again. Someone's mistake must never be your nightmare. That someone rejects you does not mean that something is wrong with you. I think that needs to be understood. You need to understand that just because someone rejects you does not mean that you have done something wrong. If you have done something, yeah, okay, fine. Go back to your drawing board and correct whatever it is. However, in most cases, excuse me, please, it has nothing to do with what you might have done, okay? But do not make it a lifetime thing where you are not afraid.
Some would even be afraid of getting into relationships and so on and so forth. Okay? Some would even be afraid to do that. You do not want to get into that. It's never the best. Rejection happens to everyone. Yes, it hurts, but nevertheless, you have to overcome it. You have to move past it. Okay, so what are the 5 things that you can do to overcome it? Remember, we said 10 things you need to know. 10 things you need to know about rejection and how to overcome it. We've looked at what takes place when you go through rejection. All right, so now let's look at 5 things that you need to do in order to be able to overcome rejection. Okay, number one, recognize that rejection is a part of life. Rejection is a part of life, whether you like it or not. People go through this. You're not the first person to ever go through rejection. Things happen. Life happens, like I earlier on said. And when it does happen, face it. It's another phase of your life. It's another phase of your life. It's another phase. So recognize that rejection is a part of life. Okay, some things aren't meant to be, and rejection can lead to positive change. At the end of the day, it means you are pushing your limits, taking risks, and leaving your comfort zone behind. If you are living a life free of rejection, you are doing something wrong. This is what I believe. If you think that okay, everyone would invariably accept you, then you are living in self-denial. People generally reject what they don't understand. You must understand that. People generally reject what they don't understand. That's number one. Number two, people also reject what they feel that is above them. Is above their reach. Okay, and because it is above their reach, they reject, just like what we have in the concerning Jephthah, for example, was rejected because, okay, fine, to them their mom, his mom came from, was a woman of the night. Let me put it like that. Let me use a better word for it. And as a result of that, so when their dad passed on, he was driven away. But it wasn't only just because of that. This gentleman was already a warrior, and highly respected for that matter. So there was a bit of jealousy as well. Okay, because otherwise, after he left and all that, he went on with his life and still continued doing whatever he was doing. And by the time they needed him, they needed him to come and do the same thing that he was doing before. So that's just it. Okay. All right. So sometimes people get rejected. You might be dealing with rejection because, okay, um, people you're dealing with feels that you are better than them. You're better than them. So that becomes a problem. Number two, accept what happened. It has happened. You can't do anything about it. Okay. Accept what happened. It is that person's loss, it's not your loss. If someone rejects you, for example, if someone rejects you, that means that, that person is not the best for you. The best will come. As a young lady out there are so many young ladies who are battling with rejection now as we speak. Okay. And, due to one relationship or the other. But just because James rejected you does not mean Andrew is not available. The Andrew of your life is going to show up, who is going to show you genuine and true love, and who will love you for who you are, accept you for who you are, and will, in fact, treat you better than whoever. Because listen, what you don't want to experience in life is for someone to try managing you. It's not the best. All right. So you need to accept that. Accept what had happened and live with it. Number three, process your emotions. You need to process your emotions. You need to process your emotions. Work towards understanding and positively managing your feelings. You don't want to become angry and take it out on the other person. Because, see, there are times that people pass on pain. As a matter of fact, people who hurt, who reject people, must have been through one level of rejection or the other in life. Most times it comes from the background. Like someone once asked, what are the causes of rejection? Why do people reject others? And I'm saying, see, some of these things sometimes might be as a result of upbringing. The upbringing, when someone went through rejection growing up, the possibility is there for someone to also reject other people as well, especially if someone who truly and genuinely loves you comes into your life. You don't know how to deal with it, because all your life you've been battling with hatred, people pushing you away, and so on and so forth. Okay, and now someone is coming to show you love, forgetting about your anything, unconditional love. So if you're not careful, if you have not dealt with what you went through when you were growing up, the possibility is there to push away people who genuinely, really love you. That possibility is there. All right. And it's never the best. So that emotion needs to be dealt with. So, because you don't want to pass on the same pain that was inflicted on you to someone else. You don't want to do that. If you don't deal with it before you get married, the possibility is there that it's still going to show up. If you don't deal with it, it can affect you at the place of work. It can affect you in relationships. It can affect you in business. It can affect you in marital relationship. It can affect you, in platonic relationship. It can affect you at any time. So you need to deal. You need to deal with it. So process your emotions and all that, and don't let the fact that someone rejected you uh, don't allow the fact that someone rejected you affect you, to not make you think that you're not worthy to be loved, you're not worthy to be accepted, or maybe there's something wrong with you, that's why you are rejected. You don't want that to happen. Number 4, treat yourself with compassion. You need to treat yourself with compassion. There are so many things that I'm going to be looking at. We have looked at number 4. Remember, we've looked at what happens when you go through rejection, and we're not dealing with how to overcome it. But before I dwell more on how to treat yourself with compassion, I have a young lady here today that is actually going to, that is going to be blessing us with a beautiful song. Her name is Catherine do not no faith. If I'm not pronouncing it very well, Catherine, don't be offended by it. And I just want to have yours to enjoy it. And now, when I come back, then you can call. Okay, you can call with your questions, and if you have some things in mind as well that you would like to share, perhaps you have a testimony, in line with it, or you have some questions, or you want to make a contribution, please feel free to be able to join me on this powerful Light Gist with Mama today. I call it very strategic because I'm the only one outside of the minister today that will be dealing with us on this topic of today. Okay, so don't go away. I'm hiding right now this beautiful lady or song. Okay, I'm hiding out right now and it's really going to be awesome. Catherine, we can't wait to hear you today. So, Catherine, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you for this awesome privilege. Good to be here tonight.
The honor is truly mine, and well, thank you for taking out time to be here with us. So, just take the floor. Let's hear you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, I hope this blesses your heart tonight. It's a message from the Lord. I have a message from the Lord. Hallelujah. This message unto you I bring. This recorded in His Word. Hallelujah. And it's only that you look and leave. I'll take it again.
Wow.
I have a message from the Lord. Hallelujah. This message unto you I bring. It's recorded record that in His Word. Hallelujah. And it's only that you look and leave. So look and live, my brother, live. Look to Jesus and live. It's recorded in His Word. Hallelujah. And it's only that you look and live. I have a message of my friend. Hallelujah.
Wow.
This message unto you I bring.
Ooh.
Jesus said it, and it's true. Hallelujah. And it's only that you look and live. So look and live, my sister. Live. Look to Jesus and live. It's recorded in His Word. Hallelujah. And it's only that you look, and it's so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take Him at His word and to rest upon His promise, just to know thus says the Lord. So Jesus, Jesus, how I trust you, how I prove you over and over. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus. Oh, for grace to trust you. It's so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take Him at His word and to rest upon His promise, just to know thus says the Lord. So this is it. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust you and how I prove you. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus. Oh, for grace to trust you. Oh,
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, Catherine. Thank you so, so very much indeed. That was awesome. That was
thank
beautiful.
you.
It's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so very much, Catherine. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I want to believe that all viewers must have really enjoyed Catherine today. Yeah, that's it. A beautiful voice there from Catherine, assuring that us that if Jesus has accepted us, who is that man? What is that person? Who is that man and what is that person that can reject us? Who is that man and what is that person that can reject her? So, a question from me, number three, the number three way, if that's the question, Mercy, the number three way is to process your emotions. Process your emotions. Someone just sent me a question right now, and so the number three that I mentioned is process your emotions, process because you see at this time you're totally and completely messed up mind wide, and your mind is just all over the place and all that. You don't know how to deal with it and so on and so forth. But hey, get hold of yourself. Get hold of yourself. That again, like I said, that a man decided to reject you does not mean that something is wrong with you. Sometimes it could mean that the person who has rejected you is something that is wrong with, and that person needs to deal with it. So just proceed, walk towards understanding and possibly managing your feelings. You don't want to become angry and take it out on people, because if it is not dealt with, the tendency is there for you to take it out on people. I think that's what we're trying to talk about here. And you don't want that. You don't want that, at all. So I had mentioned to us, just in case if you're just joining in, on how to overcome it, which is recognize that rejection is a part of life. So it happens, whether in business, on the job, relationship wise, you know, rejection actually happens. It takes place, and you can't run away with it. In fact, if you are now being extremely careful because you don't want to be rejected, you can run into serious trouble. That means that you have finally put a drop on your life. You don't want to live anymore. That's what it means. You don't want to take risks anymore. You don't, because you're trying to build a wall around yourself, and you don't need that. You obviously don't need that. Okay, family? So you need to be able to overcome that. All right. Now, it's a call-in program. I would love it. I would appreciate it. Just call me this number on WhatsApp, the number that is on screen right now, whether you're watching from YouTube or Facebook. You can actually come in and offer your contribution, or maybe there are questions that you would like to ask me, or if you are shy asking me, then you can send in the you can send in your questions, and I will be able to deal with it, as well. I'll be able to deal with it as well. Okay. Um, so I said accept what had happened, process your emotions. Number 4, treat yourself with compassion. I think that's where we are. There's a need for you to treat yourself with compassion. It's okay. We're talking about self-care now. This is the time that you need to now focus on you. Okay, you need to focus on you. You need to focus on your mental health, okay, which is very, very important. And that will mean that you need to concentrate more on positive things. If possible, surround yourself with people that would try to let you know how special you are. Those who would encourage you, those who, excuse me, please, will ask you to move on, with life, deal with whatever it is that has happened, just deal with it and move on. It's not the end of the world. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. So you need to treat yourself with compassion. Treat yourself with compassion. This is the time for you to go out there, do some massage if you can afford it. If you can afford going to an hotel or a massage parlor, bring in the native ones to just work on you. Focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Don't focus on yourself. Don't start how am I going to put it now? Don't go and lock yourself in the house and be crying. Yes, you will go through that period. There is a period where you will cry, because this is when the reality sets in. This is when you now know that, oh, this has happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you will go through the shock moment. That's normal. But you must not remain there. You now need to look after yourself. Looking after yourself also has to do with you taking yourself out. Sometimes you need to take yourself out. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. You need to do that. It's very, very important. Okay. Number 5, stay healthy. And in staying healthy would mean that, watch what you eat. When ladies are going through depression, one of the things they do is that everything in the fridge becomes food. They just want to eat. And the whole essence is to see how they can drown, to try to drown the way they feel. So food now takes a turn. It becomes a solution, sort of. Okay. So they just hit at food, and they eat and eat and eat and eat. No, you don't need that. You don't need that. Watch your diet. Make sure to exercise. Make sure to exercise. Surround yourself with positive things. Stop focusing on what had happened. Stop focusing. It's not in your past. So stop focusing on that. And if you must, okay, even think about it. Don't get offended by it. If there's anything at all, it's for you to even Okay, there's an aspect of this that is very important, because when you're considering your health, you also need to forgive. Number, you need to forgive the person who has rejected you. You need to forgive. Okay, so that you can be free. Because if you keep holding that person in your mind, that in itself will continue to affect your health. So you need to be able to overcome it. You need to be able to deal with it. You need to be able to forgive that person. The thing with unforgiveness is that it binds you, and it also binds everyone else around you as well, or the person that has rejected you, or who has gotten into um, that has gotten under your skin. So you need to. It's very important. There's a question here for me. uh, don't be shy calling. You can always call. There's a question here for me. Let me read it out for everyone to see. The question is, how can we learn from rejection? How can we learn from rejection? Okay. You just picked it out from me, because it's part of the things that I'm going to be looking at, as well. Because you also need to learn from it. Okay, you need to learn from it. It's not just enough for you to go through an experience and not learn from the experience. You know. Okay. I was going to give some. What would have made the lady who committed suicide? What would have made her to commit suicide? To her, she felt that, okay, her life is over. No, your life is not over. Okay, there are signs, there are red flags that are ignored, and that is the beginning. That's the way people, generally, people deal with rejection. If you had started with us from the beginning, when I was actually talking about, the things that happen, how people deal with rejection, I mentioned denial. Okay, people deny whatever is going on. So red flags, ignoring red flags, thinking that, oh, you know, uh, it's not happening. It's a problem in itself. So learn when you haven't been through what you have been through. What would you do if by any means you are entering into another relationship, for example? Let me give it let's look at it in that objective. What would you do? There are things you must now do differently. For example, I will never advise any young lady to marry a man that she loves more than the man. It is always better for a man to love you more than you love him. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Why? Because listen, let's even look at it from the biblical point of view. Okay, if you go through the Bible and regarding marriage, one or two places God says to a woman, love your husband. But in all subjects or scriptures relating to marriage, God would always tell the man, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself to it. So what does that tell us, family? It simply tells us that men struggle loving their spouses, especially when after they now have a as a wife, it becomes a problem to them. And okay, before you know it, they want something new. They want something new. There are different things that takes place. I can't start going into that. However, if you want to avoid such a situation, is to make sure that you marry a man who loves you more. Because with us as women, oh, I love him. Oh, I love him. So we really don't sit back to really ask ourselves questions. Does this man also love me more than I do? Does he love me more? You know, we don't ask ourselves such questions. We just remain. We remain there and allow this, in a relationship that is one-sided, and then hoping that the man will love us later. That doesn't work out. So if there's any lesson at all you're going to learn from that, if you've ever been through such a situation, is to make sure that the next relationship you are going to have must be a relationship that the man loves you more, not the other way around. Because as women, we can easily love. We love easily. Women love Liz. If a woman doesn't even love the man before she marries the man, by the time she gets it, you know, one thing or the other, we are very emotional. Before you know it, you're already loving the man, like never before. So be very, very mindful of that. Learn from whatever the experience, the things that have gone through. That's the more reason why you need to, you really need to examine your emotions. You need to examine your emotions. There is another question that is coming up here. We just have 7 more minutes to go, family. So just in case, if you have some more questions, um that you want to bring in, or you have some comments out, because I've been looking, and if you have anything you want to throw in also at the live stream, please don't hesitate to do so. I will read it out for everyone to see. Okay. Another question here is, how can rejection be overcome? Okay. Well, that's what we have been looking at already. Maybe you're just joining in. Rejection can be overcome through many things that I've listed before. I said you need to recognize that rejection is a part of life. You can't run away from that. Number 2, accept what had happened. It happens. Life happens, and there's nothing you can do about that. Number 3, process your emotions. Don't allow what has happened to take in over your life and so on. Okay. Number 4, treat yourself with compassion. Be good to you. Okay. Take yourself out. Make yourself beautiful. Eat right. You want to be healthy. Don't eat anyhow. Don't eat on different food as a result of being rejected. Don't start jumping from one relationship to another because you are also looking for acceptance. Accept who you are. Be authentic in yourself. Love you. You are enough. I think that's the most important thing. You need to know that you are enough. You are enough. You are enough. Okay? The you is good enough. All right. So the you now needs to be worked on, needs to be improved on. And this is you making yourself happy. All right. So you need to stay healthy. You must not allow rejection to define you. I think that's what I'm trying to say, that someone's rejection must not define you. Okay. Someone's rejection must not define you. Break out of that. Break out of that. It's an emotion. Rejection is one of the emotions. Okay. And you need to overcome it. It's very, very important. Okay. And then the other aspect of this is, okay, so somebody asked me, okay, Mama, I went into a relationship that really hurt me deeply. This man, after everything I've done for him, after 3 years of courtship, left me to another woman. What do I do? My young lady, move on. That's what you need to do. Move on. He doesn't deserve you. That's what it means. He does not deserve you. So move on. Move on. Move on. A better person is coming, and it will shock you. When that better person will come, it will shock you. Okay? It will shock you. Someone will say, okay, well, it's not just in relationship, like I earlier said. It's not just in relationship that people get rejection. Maybe in business as well. Just because someone, decides not to value what you've offered does not mean, in totality something is wrong. If there's a business offer or maybe a product and that product gets rejected, go back to the drawing board. Look at that product. If there is anything you need to tweak, if there's anything you need, maybe it's your presentation, there's something is wrong with. I will never forget a relation of mine went for an interview and got rejected. And when the person was in discussion with me, I was so impressed. The person said, you know what? When the person got rejected, that by the time the person got home, the person looked at it and said, you know what? I didn't quite prepare myself well enough for this interview. Perhaps I need to do more, in that area. I need to do more in that area. And today the person is working. The person is working. So that is, actually facing your rejection positively, looking at it and said, okay, fine, let me go improve on myself, so that when next I have an opportunity to be, to be interviewed, I will come out very, very strong and blazing. Okay, so the rejection must not define you. In fact, it must not define you. Be your authentic self. Okay, be your authentic self. And you need to also grow from the experience. And okay, grow from the experience. It can only get better. It can only, if you're just joining us, we're actually looking at 10 things you need to know about rejection and how to overcome it. Okay, I mentioned the number one factor, which is denial. That's what people go through when they feel rejected. They go through denial. They feel that it's not happening, it cannot be true. And then the next thing, when it not dawn on them that this is actually real, anger sets in, and they start acting out and so on and so on, because they can't believe that they can suffer exactly what is going on. And then number three is the bargaining time. And that is the time that you're not trying to win that person back. Maybe you need to do more. Maybe you need to do this, maybe you need to do that. But it has absolutely nothing to do with that, because most times rejection has nothing to do with what you have done or what you have not done. Rejection sometimes has to do with the other party that is also dealing with something, because it is only people who are hurting that can hurt others. It is only people who have suffered rejection before that can also reject others. Okay, so you need to deal with it. And then, of course, depression sets in, and this you don't want. This could lead to death. This would lead to ill health and many other things. Number five, this is the time that you now need to accept. And in acceptance, I'm now saying that you need to recognize that rejection is a part of life. It's no big deal. Just because you were once rejected does not mean it's the end of the world. No. So you need to accept what had happened, process your emotions, treat yourself with compassion, stay healthy, don't allow rejection to define you, and you, of course, grow out of it. Well, this is what I've had for us today on Life Gist with Mama, and I want to believe that we've learned one way or the other from today's show. And I want to use this opportunity in appreciating Catherine as well. Catherine, that was beautiful. And see, if God has accepted you, don't allow anybody's opinion to define who you are. You're beautiful. You're talented. You're good enough. Always remember that. Okay? You're beautiful. Why do people go to BBL? Why do they have to augment their breasts? Why do they want to augment one thing or the other? It is because they feel that they are not good enough. However, when the realization comes, a young man, there was this young lady that died as a result of I think it was BBL she went to do. Pretty young girl. And no one needs to tell me that a young boy must have told him that he's not good enough. He needs to have a big back, and that was what took her life. We need to be rest assured that we are good enough. If God makes you tall, that's the way He wants you to be. If He makes you short, that's the way He wants you to be. If He makes you big, you're big and bold. Be proud about that. If you're slim, be slim and be happy. Whichever way you are good. And there is someone out there that is with you. And if you're married and you're battling with rejection, it's not the end of the world. Okay? It's not the end. Don't internalize whatever is being thrown at you, because that's the greatest thing that can destroy people easily. Just because someone is telling you that you're not good enough, you're not beautiful enough, the person decides to go out there, does not mean that you're not good enough. Don't internalize it. Don't allow whatever is being thrown at you to affect you. Receive it with joy and gladness, and begin to work on yourself and move on with life. At the end of the day, someone who deserves you will come your way. I love you. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow on Strategic Online Church Service. It's promised to be wonderful. And then Monday is around the corner as well on Command the Day. Thank you all for being a part of today. And thank you for everyone who sent in one question or the other. I truly love you. God bless you. A big hug from me to you. God bless you. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.